Welcome, listeners, to Geek Boots Military Nerds, where we continue to talk about how the big green weenie has affected us, and you get to learn more about the big green weenie. I am your host, Tom Cruise Cosplay. With me tonight, I have the beautiful, as always, Cosplay Jenemy. If you could see her right now, she looks like Captain Marvel, which is fucking awesome.
Yay!
And joining me as well is Single Dad Cosplay, who just had to find a Marvel hat.
What up?
And tonight we are talking about Avengers, this episode towards the Road to Endgame. And I guess I'll start because I didn't get much of a story in our last episode, and I'm really psyched about this because the Avengers came out when I was in Korea, so it's like I got a lot of cool experiences to finally share. So the impact for me, considering I watched all of the other movies prior, I kept thinking to myself, on one hand, like, this is cool because on the special effects level and just the gravity of how big of a blockbuster movie it was, it did leave a big impact. Of course, every time someone would go, it's never been done before, all I kept thinking to myself was, didn't we have like some degree of an ensemble on film somewhere with the Avengers back in like the 70s or the 80s? Like Captain America's shield, all the white parts were clear plastic, and he put it on the front of his bike. And Iron Man just looked like he was about ready to jump into the ocean and scuba dive or something. It was fucking horrible. And of course, Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk at the time, and Thor actually had a pretty badass costume. He looked like he was straight out of Norse mythology, so that was pretty dope. And yeah, and no, I was thinking of the Japanese Spider-Man where he would hit the watch, the suit would go flying into the air like the Flash, and then he would just come onto him, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's happening. So every time someone would say it's never happened before, I'm like, but didn't it? And then I have to reaffirm myself that it was like a TV show, I guess. It wasn't a movie. So yeah, it was pretty big.
It never happened before on the big screen.
Yeah, that was the key element, not for the big screen. But yeah, so I was stationed in Korea. It was my first duty station, and my movie theater on post was like free showings and free screenings. It was like a small version of an airplane hangar. Like, it was this tiny white building that fit up to, I don't know, 25, 30 people max, and the seats were the fold out metal chairs. So this building was obviously made back when the military installation itself was made, because the barracks was just the same. So, and they had a little stage area, and the screen was, I want to say the screen was about 1/3 the size of like a regular theater screen, so it wasn't like huge, but I mean, hey, a free movie. So that was dope. But then we found
it wasn't one of those ones that from school where they come in, it's in the tube, and then they kind of extend it and everything like that. Like
that would have been great. Yeah, like a projector.
Projector.
Pull it down with the string and the ring attached to the string.
Yep.
That would have been hilarious. Like, I would have been like, this is going to be ghetto. Like, shit. No.
Oh, man, I've done deployment movies and everything like that where they've just hung the white sheet on the wall. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and sometimes they're not the cleanest white sheet, so you guys just got to ignore the stains in the movie.
I don't know what it is, but depending on the color of what's going on in the movie, you can see all the stains, because then it ends up being like a black light, and you're just like, all right, whose bed sheet was this today? Jesus Christ.
And to quote Star-Lord, it's like a Jackson Pollock in here.
Yep. Yeah, and like Jake and Cosplay Genevieve said in the last episode, if you haven't tuned into that one, you should. I had to stand up this now I'm Army, so all branches have something different that they do. For me, if you were in uniform, even though you're indoors, you have to salute during the national anthem because it's like a presentation. You're like the way they ran it, kind of like if you were at a sports stadium. And then if you're in civilians, you just have to stand at attention. And it would play at the beginning of the movie, and then you'd go into the movie. Now, I know from my experience, we didn't get trailers to other movies. It was just it started the movie. Like that's all we got. Like so, I'm like, all right, cool. I don't have to sit through trailers. And the only size of popcorn that they had was the small bag, like the thing that only like had like 3/5 full worth of popcorn in it, and a small Coke. But the Cokes were actually like the little bottles that you can buy out of the vending machine. So I was like, yep, that was my experience. But later on, again, I was a cook in the Army, so I didn't get a lot of days off. And for the listeners, Korea is actually the most hardship words. Korea duty station is for the cooks, and I worked about 4.5 months before I saw a day off once. And we work from about 4:30 or 5 a.m. till about 10 p.m. every day. And one day we got really tired, really fed up, and we decided to say screw it, and we decided to go into town to get drunk. Unfortunately, the bars were all super crowded, and I'm like, I mean, we got the money. We might as well see Avengers on like an actual screen. Now, I'm from Washington. These other guys from Chicago and whatnot. So it was when they were just starting to introduce reserved seating. So when we got there, that was my first experience. I was like, God, this would be so great if they brought it to America. Just like I've never seen this before. So I got to pick my seat. We got to sit, and then I watched Avengers again. So that was pretty dope. Of course, right after that, the AMC theater started introducing it. So I was like, I felt like it wasn't as special, even though I got to sit there and say my first time doing it was in Korea. As far as
my first time doing it was last year. So
phrasing.
Ha!
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'm just kidding. Favorite character? Oh God. It was a toss-up between Thor and Captain America. I say Thor because his suit was boss, his hair looked real for once, and he had really good scenes. But I also gotta go with Captain America because he had a lot of amazing scenes. My only gripe was that suit was hot garbage. I could not stand that costume that he was wearing. I was like, what did they do to you? Who hurt the people that made that costume? Who hurt you that you had to make this suit? This was your idea. For phase scene, favorite scene, phase scene? For favorite scene.
Just learning to talk.
Just learning to talk. I gotta go with when Captain America showed up to originally stop Loki. That it touches my heartstrings, my little military heartstrings a little bit when this patriotic hero jumps in and goes, last time I was in Germany and I saw a man standing above a bunch of others. We end up disagreeing. Yeah, that was pretty dope. And of course, the German who stood up and said, "There are always men like you who want to stand up and oppress everybody." That was my heart. Like that was awesome. Good for him. So that scene, and of course, I mean, I'll go with the bandwagon. It was really awesome having the camera pan around everybody as they get ready to fight and they're assembling for the first time. That was dope too. So yeah, that was my experience. I was in a foreign country. I saw it on post theater, and I saw it in a civilian sector with stuff that I had not seen before. It was really fun. It was really dope. Yep, it'll live with me till the day I die. Avengers was amazing. So yeah. Okay, I'm done. Cosplay Genemy, you're done.
Well, okay then. I was trying to figure out where I was living at the time. I'm looking on Facebook to try to figure out even where I was living because I don't even remember when it. I saw it in theaters. That was the first one I saw in theaters. Actually, the other ones I had not.
Because you were boycotting them.
Yes, I'd already seen. No, I hadn't seen Hulk. I hadn't seen.
Yeah, no one has to see Hulk.
I hadn't seen Iron Man, the first one. No. And I think that's it. I think that's all I hadn't seen at that point because my friend got me into watching Thor. Mm-hmm. She was like, let's watch this movie, and I was like, I want to fit in, so I'm not gonna say no. And she put that on, and I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like this. Like a lot. That was really good. Okay, now I'll go see this movie. Yay!
That's like the supernatural meme. A fandom broke into my home and said, Dad's been on a hunting trip and has been away for too long or whatever." And then I just started on the train and I haven't stopped.
Exactly. Friend walked in, put on the movie, and I was hooked from then.
There you go.
So I did have to backtrack after the movie, but that was really the first one that I watched, like in theaters, in a civilian theater. Nothing fun.
Oh.
I have no real good stories.
That awkward silent moment.
It was like one of the first times I left my child with a babysitter.
Oh, I'm sure that was
awesome.
Surfing, right?
That's an event.
Yeah. Who my friend who introduced me to the movies was watching my child, so I only had one.
Oh, so it's even better. She's like, "No, you're going to this movie. I will watch your children. Go fuck out of the house."
Exactly.
Give me your baby.
Give me your baby and go see Avengers.
It's one of those things where it's like, give me your child, go relax. You'll thank me later for two reasons. One, you get to relax. Two, you get to just enjoy this new fandom that you're about to be blessed with. There you go.
So there is a little bit there where it was the first real comic book movie that I was like back into because of course again Spider-Man. But yeah, it enlighted the flame of my comic book love because I had gotten out of it for a while. So that was really cool. Favorite character, of course, is going to be Natasha. I love her. I've always had a thing for her. I love.
Yes.
And
I concur.
And I absolutely loved her very first scene where she's just sitting there tied up, like just.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Right?
She's just looking at him and talking to him and pretending she's scared, and she has this like little girl mentality going on, and then gets the phone call.
Yeah.
And she's like,
"Oh, I gotta go."
But I'm in the middle of something, and they're giving me all the information I need. And the guy's like, "What?"
I give nothing, and she's just looking at him like, "Really?"
She's like, "Fine," and then like beats them all up, and then picks up the phone afterwards and is like, "Okay, what do you need?" Oh.
Jamon, I think is what she said. Something like that. I'm pretty sure it was Russian, I want to say, because it's Black Widow, but it could be wrong.
And she's like, "I don't think Stark likes me." "Oh, we don't need you to get him."
Stark likes me about as far. Trusts me
as much as he can throw me.
No. I've got Stark. You got the big guy. Jamon. Oh my God.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that was dope.
I really like her. She's Every scene that she's in. And then I was really excited with her and Clint being back together, and I was like, yes, they're gonna be together and fight and take over the world. And then, going into Avengers 2, they screwed me off on that. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation for the next movie.
This reminds me of Budapest all over again. You and I remember Budapest very differently. I fucking love those two together.
I know! Their entire dynamic of always is my favorite. Comic books and movies.
I think that dynamic is like a really intrinsic part of the movie, just for the simple fact that she never gave up on him.
Yeah.
Ever through that entire time where he was brainwashed by Loki and everything like that. She never gave up hope.
No, absolutely not.
They were buddies. They really were. From way back when. They may not have worked together in a while, but they were battle buddies, and she knew that what he was doing wasn't him.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, she even tells him that, like, as soon as he comes out of it, and he's like, "How many did I kill?" She's like, "Don't even think about that.
Yep.
Wasn't you."
Yeah.
Those two just that. I mean, that's any type of war dynamic. Anyways, people who have fought together. They call you up 10 years later, and you're there.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
20 years, 15 years, 40 years. I don't know.
Yeah, that's that good old military brother dynamic right there.
Absolutely.
And
we happy few.
Yeah, it's that shared experience. I got so many civilian friends that come and go, but I can pick up the phone any given day and contact one of my battle buddies, and if he doesn't answer, he'll text when he's available, or he'll call back as soon as possible, and vice versa. So it's always dope. Anyway,
kind of like tonight.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why Jake is not here with us today is because he just got home, and I like to think of myself as a good boss, and he deserves to be with his family. He's overseas, goddammit. He needs to be with his family. So, yes.
And mine's in the middle of her midterms. Good luck to her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, good luck to her. I hope she doesn't break her crayons upon using them when she's doing her test. Mayan, if you're listening to this, I hope you didn't chew on the green ones. I know how you Marines are. And with that being said, Single Dad, why don't we turn it to you, brother?
So 2012, I had just spent a year in Afghanistan. I was just getting home. I was reconnecting with my family and everything like that. So going out and seeing movies was just part of the decompression phase for me. So it was one of the ones that I was really excited to go see. I'd been following all the Avengers movies, all the lead-up movies until then, and so I was really, really excited. I was one of those fanboys who's like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome! It's gonna be great." Okay, it's good. It's really good. Better than I expected. So it just kind of, it was one of those things where living in California and just going out to the movies and everything like that. This is a part of my life where like I had 3 boys at home, so going out to the movies wasn't something that I could do very often. But there are some that you make exception for because you want to see them on the big screen. Now that they're older, obviously, they come with me. But yeah, no. As for favorite scenes in the movie and everything like that, favorite characters. Okay, sorry. Hulk, puny god. I cannot get enough of that scene. Good. I can watch it over and over.
Bam, bam, bam.
And here's the fun part. Spoiler alert for Thor Ragnarok, if you haven't seen it yet. When he turns around and does it to Thor, and Loki's just like up in the stands going, I know that! And
we're friends from work.
But, I mean, I can watch that scene over and over and over again. And here's the fun part. My second favorite scene in that movie, also Hulk, but actually Bruce Banner. When he's having that one-on-one dialogue with Harry Dean Stanton after he falls from the sky, and he turns back into Bruce Banner, he's like, he's learning about himself. I mean, he's learning about what it means for him to be in control, for him to be out of control, and he's that Hulk is not just there to smash, but he's there to protect him too. So, some of and the Hulk was some of my. I know he was there for comedic effect, but it worked in the overall theme of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Favorite character in the movie? Believe it or not, I'm gonna go with Loki.
I mean, I think it has to be said. I mean, funny enough, Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Nick Fury, in the movie Kingsman, when they were talking about good spy movies.
Yes.
The statement alone goes to any movie that has a good guy fighting a bad guy. You don't have a good movie, you don't have a good story without a really good villain. And
correct.
He did a great job.
Right.
He's always spot on Loki all the time. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, he's just like the trickster and everything, and like you don't know what's going to happen next. So, I mean, a defining point in the movie for me with Loki was when they're in Germany and everything like that, and they've got to get into the vault, so they need basically the retinal scan, and then you see him pull out, and you get the implied. I mean, by cutting the guy's eye out, I'm like, wait, what? This just went past that normal comic book movie. This is getting a little graphic right here. And even though it's implied, they're not showing it on screen for ratings purposes. But at the same time, it's like, holy mackerel. And is this actually happening?
Yeah, so to comment on that scene, though, I think what was really interesting, if you pay attention to it and you really hyper-focus on it, the eye itself is moving around. Like, it doesn't know what's going on. So it's like, I feel like it was just a suction cup and it was scanning his eye and that was it or something. It wasn't like he was stealing his eye or anything. Because if that was the case, that eye wouldn't have been jostling around like that for sure. But we'll never know.
We'll never know.
They didn't put it on camera.
Somebody get Kevin on the phone. Let's ask him.
Yes, right now.
Yes.
Right now. Who's got his phone number?
But yeah, no, the entire movie was extremely well done. I appreciated how they treated the characters, how they brought them together. The initial fights in between Cap and Thor and Iron Man when they're in Germany and everything like that, and they're trying to take Loki, and Thor's trying to take him back to Asgard. I mean, it was all really well done because you showed that internal struggle, that internal animosity and dynamic, which they have to get through to be able to defeat a common enemy in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And really, when you bring people who don't know each other together, you have a lot of...
There's a feeling out process.
Yeah, and they did it well. So it wasn't like they jumped together and they were like, oh, we're
buddies.
Hey, we're good. No, there's always this like...
Let's go frolic.
There's always this dynamic between the characters that you can tell that they don't know each other. There's this weirdness going on.
And when you're all powerful entities and you're all alpha personalities.
Yeah. Or when you've been taking care of business by yourself, you think you know the ropes, and then these other people join in. You're like, no, I know.
I got this.
Like, no, I know. And you're like, Gah.
Yeah.
Like, have care what you speak. Loki may be misunderstood or whatever, but he is of Asgard. He is my brother. He killed 62 people in 3 days.
He was adopted.
He's adopted? Like,
threw him under the bus. It's like, he's my brother. Oh, but not really.
Ooh, yeah,
Just kidding.
Yeah. Or
I'm going to take him back, but just kidding on the whole brother thing.
And I'm going to backtrack real fast. So, not an actual Avengers moment, but another favorite Hulk moment was from the blooper. Where Mark Ruffalo's sitting there on the overpass, looking up at it, looks at them, looks up at it, goes, "Screw this!" and then runs, and goes, "You're on your own," and just starts running away. I was like, yes.
No thanks.
I'm good.
So, and also coming out of that movie, obviously Marvel, famous for the post-credit scene, the infamous Shawarma restaurant.
Shawarma.
Yes. How many different movies now and shows and different comedies and things like that have picked up on that and used that that final meal after defeating the bad guy or having the adventure and everything like that. I mean, how many of them are now picking up on that? Just battle weary, just
come together and eat something.
Yeah, moment of silence.
Yeah.
So, fun fact for the listeners, and if you two don't realize this either, the big reason why Captain America rested his hand on his chin the way he did in his jawline, he was still in the middle of filming that train movie in the snow, so he had his beard. So they put a lot of prosthetic makeup to cover up the beard to shoot that scene real fast. And all I can sit here and think about is if Marvel can do that with him, granted he put his hand there so that he can hide the fact that it looks like makeup, why couldn't they have done that with Henry in freaking Justice League? Like, I'm sorry, his mouth looks so bad in that movie. It looks like they put a filter onto his face with Snapchat, and it just wasn't having it. Oh, man. Yeah, so that was fun information to know. I'm like, oh, that's why that looks the way it does. Now when I go back and watch it, I'll have to, I pause it, and I look at it, and I go, oh, yeah, I could see the makeup not fully attached to the hair in this one corner, and I see
Yep.
There. You gotta check it out now.
Yep. So...
like, frick.
You just want to pause it to stare at Chris.
If I wanted that, I would do it when he's sitting there punching the punching bag. Because his arms and muscles are not covered with the suit.
And I'm pretty sure he doesn't have anything underneath his pants.
You would go there. But you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
He's still getting adjusted to how everything works in the new timeline. We have underwear now, and he's all like, I don't know what that is. It's uncomfortable. I'm just going to wear these sweats. It's fine.
Yeah, just the sweats. That's it. That's all he was wearing there. Have a little eye candy.
Yeah.
Now and then.
I mean, see, okay, this is what I love about Chris, though, is fast forward a little bit to Winter Soldier. Captain America Winter Soldier, where he's doing the helicopter scene. And he's pulling the helicopter back. You know, he's flexing as much as he can humanly possible while he's doing that, and he goes to the director or the producer, he goes, can I take my shirt off for this scene? And they're like, no, it's a kids movie, basically, kids and teens. He goes, I know, but I just feel like it would really bring the sex appeal, and it would be really great if I just did it like that. Like, he's just like, no, I want to show everything off. Look at me, man.
I worked on this.
That's not what Captain America's all about. He's about the wholesome, not the sexy.
You know, sometimes when you're in battle, your clothes get damaged, and you just don't care because you're still in the heat of battle.
Yeah, just happens. Things get torn.
Dragon Ball Z. I don't know how that guy continues to wear his gis, because they get damaged literally in just training alone. Chi-Chi must be broke trying to keep him clothed at this point in Dragon Ball Z. So I can only imagine the cost effect of all these guys' costumes. Case in point, Spider-Man. Like, Tobey Maguire's character had no money, yet he puts in an offer to this costume suit place, gets this Spider-Man suit, and just happens to replicate all these suits, but he's dirt broke as hell. Like, come on. Come on.
I
Hey
know.
now,
Well, that is
Hulk Hogan could do it every Sunday.
movie
That's
magic.
because it's a tank top. Just a tank top, and he rips them himself. So, not a great argument.
See, sometimes when you go into movies, you just have to hit the I believe button.
Yeah, well, no, it's like my girlfriend actually says all the time. Because I'll be commenting on something we're watching, I go, that doesn't make any sense, and she'll just lightly go, sometimes you just have to suspend reality for the plot to work.
I always say it's the I believe button. Just
Yep.
gotta hit the I believe button, and it works out in the end.
And on that point, it's kind of funny when people ask me. It's like, and they know I do this podcast. They know I cosplay. I'm a photographer. I go to all the conventions and everything like. So they know I'm deep into
Being a nerd.
into the community and everything
Yeah.
like that. So I've got my opinions and everything like that. So whenever a new movie comes out, it's like, what did you think? What did you think? I was like, I enjoyed it. Well,
Yeah.
what did you think about this? I was like, you know what? I went in not expecting anything except to be entertained. I'm not going to demand anything from the actors, the writers, the producer, the director, anything like that. I just want to be entertained. If
Right.
I'm entertained at the end of the movie, you know what? Money well spent.
Yeah, I keep that in mind as much as I can, humanly possible too. The only time I ever suspend that mindset is when it's an origin story, because I'm hoping they keep to the original origin story. After that, you can, like everybody who writes comic books and writes these stories, you can do whatever the hell you want. Now it's your beast. I just want to see if the origin story is close to the original concept. But yeah, and with these notes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to give a spoiler-free review of the latest movie to be coming out of Marvel, so that we stay on top of everything. Captain Marvel.
Yay.
Who wants rock paper scissors? Who wants to go first? And nobody will know.
Ladies first.
Everyone's gonna just hear this, and they're gonna think.
That's gonna be a weird sound.
Yeah, all three of us do it. They're gonna be like, "What am I listening to on this podcast? What's happening right now?"
Is that macaroni and cheese?
Yes, but I do think, Cosplay Jenemy, since you're cosplaying Captain Marvel right now on this podcast, why don't you go ahead and take it away with your spoiler-free review, your rating of 1 to 10, and yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say it's probably one of my favorite movies right now,
Uh-huh.
of probably all time. A lot is probably more personal experiences,
Sure.
and following the fact that I was Air Force and am a girl, and grew up in a kind of similar environment that she did.
So when you said because you're a girl and because you're Air Force, I want you to take a good look at this. This is my surprised face.
I know, not surprised. You know, without sounding, completely off base, but you get those moments in your life where you go, "Oh, that's what other people feel when they leave a movie." Like, I never had one of those, "Oh my God, what just happened?" moments in my life. Yes, I enjoy superhero movies. Yes, I've enjoyed going to them and having moments that I've connected with them. Of course, I
Yeah.
love Natasha because she's, also not just because she's a girl, but she kicks butt all the time. And so I loved her. But, she always shared her movie with a bunch of other things that were going on. But this whole movie and learning all of these things and seeing things, and she had actual conversations with people that I had with people during this movie. And I was just like, this is a weird experience for me. It's a new experience, and I loved it, and it was amazing and fulfilled me in all kinds of ways. And it's really hard for me to watch people um, say negative things about the movie. Like I had to temporarily stop watching one of my friends because he kept criticizing the movie every day, and I was just like, I can't even watch it. I feel so empowered, and not just empowered, not that's not the right word, but in love with this movie and connected to this movie, that even hearing people badmouth the movie, not that they couldn't enjoy it, not that they have questions about it, but just not like it. I'm just like, so I have to give it a 10/10. Was that obvious?
Nope, not at all. Out of everything you said, I thought you were going to give it a solid 1.5.
1.5, 6.5, 6.5. No, I mean, just I was just watching it, and like a lot of old memories came back. A lot of things that I went through in my childhood, a lot of things that happened to me when I was in the military. Just all of these things just came back to me. And I was just like, whoa, this is like life. I mean, of course, she's way cooler than me. And she went way farther than me in her stuff. But I think that's as spoiler free as I can do without
ruining everything and destroying everyone's lives, because apparently ruining a movie all of a sudden, ruins a life and they want to commit suicide and stuff. Cause,
I know it's the end of the world.
Hell. Yeah, I said it. It ain't PC. I'll be the first one to tell you if someone ruins a movie for me. My response is, great, I'm still going to go see the movie. I really don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
Like, my life is not fucking ruined just because a movie's been talked about.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thing. If I go into a movie and I'm entertained and I didn't feel like I was wanting to leave or get on my phone the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly.
then I'm happy. Then I'm happy and I've enjoyed it and I'm good to go. I might watch it again later and try to question and connect dots and see if they followed certain guidelines that I thought they should follow, or that maybe they should.
The continuity is.
Yeah. I might do that later, but not my first watch. My first watch, I'm going in to see how much they can entertain me.
Perfect. Single Dad, do you wanna go ahead and go next?
Sure. So I went to see it on Friday. And I picked up the boys from school. They didn't know what was going on. Came home, made lunch, and then was like, "Hey, guys, we got errands to run." And didn't tell them we were going to the movies. Then parked at the theater, and they're like, so they got all excited.
Yay!
So we went to go see it, and I'm gonna say I was highly entertained. I had heard all the negative press. I saw all the positive press. I did not let that affect my decision on the movie, how I enjoyed it. There were parts of it that I'll straight up and say I did not like. And there were parts of it that, I guess the best way to put it, there were parts of it that seemed forced. Like they were trying for a certain mood in a certain scene, and so they were trying to force things to be together. But aside from that, and that's only like one or two scenes, but aside from that, overall the movie is fantastic. I enjoyed it, and the boys absolutely loved it. So I'd ask them, but they're all doing their thing right now.
And then it might not stay spoiler free.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. I totally enjoyed the movie. I liked how they treated the characters. I liked what they did with not just the superhero aspect, the military aspect of it as well. The history of, and you got some backstory on some people that we've known since the beginning. So it was really, really a great movie.
All right, and I guess my turn.
Your turn.
I'm going to start off by saying a solid 7. Argument could be made for 7.5 out of 10. It was wildly entertaining. I know that even though I was born in 1990, I was very actively aware of everything around me during the 90s, so I classified myself as a 90s kid. And yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia in this movie, and I fucking loved it. Brie Larson.
Sorry to interrupt. I guess I guess I'm the only one here that can say. I mean, I was a teenager in 1990, so I mean that was my era. That was my generation.
Yeah. You were one of the Smells Like Teen Spirit kids, I guess.
I remember when that album came out. Listening to it in my buddy's garage.
Yep. So, yeah, I feel like, so coming off of what both of you said about, the bad reviews and the good reviews coming out like crazy, right? I listened to them all. I even spoiled it for myself because originally I was going into this movie thinking one thing. I only want to know how Captain Marvel is going to tie into Endgame because I want to know what's going to happen, how she's going to beat the fuck out of Thanos, because we all know that's going to happen. Like, I'm sorry, they're replacing Adam Warlock with Captain Marvel, in my opinion, because we haven't seen him. There's no way we're going to get Adam Warlock anytime soon, so it's got to be Captain Marvel. So, yeah, that was kind of my biggest going in for this movie, and I left the movie really thinking one thing. If there hadn't been such, and I'm saying this from what I've done on my research, this is my perspective and what I know, it's not factual, but from what I've seen on negative reviews, when it comes down to this sense of forced feminism, whether it's through the advertisement or people saying, I hate forced feminism, blah, 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 I have to say, if I hadn't heard any of it, if I hadn't listened to any of it, the movie would have been 10 times better. I'm saying that right now as my spoiler-free review. If you are going to watch this movie, forget everything you have fucking heard and just watch it. Because it's a very entertaining movie, and you will forget about feminism. Like, you really will. It's great. Yeah, and there's some scenes that, and I will get into it in the spoiler review coming up after all of this. There are some scenes that I had to say I didn't like, for sure, and things where, like I always do when I'm watching a movie, and I'm like, that's not realistic. But for me, it was more of a, wait, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. So there were some scenes like that, but I tried to keep an open heart, and I enjoyed
the I believe button.
Yeah, the I believe button, and yeah, it's a good movie. I really loved the Air Force scenes. Those were fucking amazing, dude. Just her and her aviators getting in that plane, that was fucking dope. I love that. And I gotta say, more flight scenes with like F-22 fighter jets than in fucking Top Gun. So I think it's a little ironic and hilarious that the cat is named Goose.
It definitely had a very Top Gun feel to it.
Oh yeah.
And like, okay, I'll do more on that in the spoiler.
Yeah, but yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way to say it's the greatest movie of all time. And I gotta say right now, please, listeners, listen to me when I say this. Not only is this just a movie, and I get that some people have a feeling and impact with it as well, but please remain civil. Just because somebody doesn't like a movie doesn't mean they're this sexist bigot that you make them out to be. Maybe you should take it.
Well, it depends on why they don't like the movie, because I have seen some very...
And that's fine. But just because those people are really loud doesn't mean that everybody else who just simply says, I didn't like the movie, is all of a sudden a sexist bigot. So please, let's keep civil as possible, especially as we are about to turn now. You have a total of 5 seconds to turn this podcast off if you do not want spoilers.
You have been warned a few times during this podcast that we were going to do this.
We are going to do this. If you are still listening, I guess your life is ruined. Boo freaking who? Let me get my violin out for you. So
Five,
five, four,
four,
three, two,
two,
one.
one.
Oh, the spoilers now.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert. So I would love to go first because I actually wrote these down for myself right after I was done watching the movie, so I wouldn't fucking forget them. Now, keep in mind.
You know how to write?
Yes, I know, right? Well, technically,
with crayon and pictures.
To be fair,
no, he's not a Marine.
Technically,
I believe he uses a pencil.
Technically, guys, it was typing, so there's autocorrect.
Which ducking sucks.
So I'm gonna jump to the ending, which was kind of the thing that tipped with me the most. So it bugged me, and I'm trying to understand it, and I'll give a little leeway to that because it wasn't explained. And I get that a lot of these superhero movies don't always explain or have to explain, but it really got to me when we first see her throw on the mask because they're underwater so that she can breathe, right? And then she's shooting through space, blowing up these spaceships, the mask is on. So I'm like, is that how she's breathing? And then right as soon as she's about to leave, she's up in space, no mask on, and I'm like, so now you're capable of breathing all of a sudden? Wait, well, hold on. Like, because I acknowledge that Captain Marvel, the longer she has these powers, the more the powers start amplifying. But if nobody freaking knows anything about Captain Marvel going into this movie, you're going to be like, wait, what just fucking happened?
That's,
like,
they're explaining or showing you all of these powers that she actually has.
Yeah.
Because they do not touch her powers until the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and then they start blowing up all the things that she can do.
I want to get into that as well. This is another little bit of my gripe, and this is how I analyzed it. When she's starting out, she's got the little thing on her neck to keep her in check. Yes. She's not allowed to really use her powers, and she hasn't been on a mission yet. Now she's used her powers a little bit to, she pushes freaking what's his face, Jude Law's character, and it doesn't go through him. That's fine and dandy. But then she fucking blows it off and lets her powers go like crazy. So she's not had the training for full-on force.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that she's capable of blowing through these ships, but when she wants to shoot at a person, she knows how to hold back? I'm like, whoa, hold on. Come on, this is full power. I expect that guy to be vaporized.
I think because she had to hold back so much that she knew how to hold her powers back.
That's a good argument. That's a good argument.
That she knew how to do.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to branch out through her powers, and I'm so excited when we actually get to see all of her powers.
Yeah, in Endgame, I'm sure it's gonna be fucking epic. I didn't like the cat scratch Nicholas Fury's eye thing.
Sounds hilarious. That was just a good.
I gotta agree with Jen on that one.
I'm not saying I hate it. I felt like a slight letdown because in Winter Soldier he made us believe like some real shit went down, considering all this treachery with Hydra.
Well, I mean, technically a bunch of stuff did go down.
Who the fuck cares? He straight up looks at her and goes, it's fine. It's a cat scratch. Fuck off, Fury.
I mean, it was a lot of stuff that went down first.
Right.
So, I mean, to be fair, it was a lot of stuff. He just kind of left out the small thing that ended it.
Yes. Now, if you listeners keep in mind, I'm now going to say this. I think we're all going to touch base on what we didn't like and then hype you back up with things that we absolutely
liked. Yeah. Almost definitely.
This is not just going to be I'm going to ramp on this fucking movie and leave it at that. I want people to remember that I enjoyed the movie and I want you to know that. What was
standard debriefing process. Two positives, a negative, and then a positive to end it on.
Exactly. So I'm still trying to grasp it, but I don't really like, in terms of continuity, the whole of it. Funny as it is, just got done talking about the Avengers. They're in the room all together, and he says that these two landed on Earth, these gods from another world landed on our Earth and leveled a small town. You know, he's bringing that up as that's the reason why, you know, all of this is into fruition. Now, I do keep in mind, in Devil's Advocate, he's a fucking spy, so of course he's not gonna, like, give us the whole fucking thing, but I felt like that may have been a continuity error, because it's like, now Captain Marvel shows up in the 90s before all of this, and now all of a sudden we want to go, nope, this is the real reason why he wants to start all of this, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that continuity area right there. And then,
say it.
Her mouth when she's in space fighting the spaceships. The CGI on her mouth. What was that? Like, I feel like maybe they wasted their budget trying to make Nick Fury look like he's out of Pulp Fiction again, because that mouth was horrible. I felt like I was watching Superman and Justice League all over.
I was gonna say.
I was like, that doesn't even look like Brie Larson's mouth. That looked. I'm gonna say this. It looked like a man's mouth on top of the rest of her, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that?
You know, I'm pretty sure every single movie lately that's had some type of like CGI on people's faces,
yeah,
have been awful.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars.
Star Wars, right.
You know what?
God.
Hey, I don't do that kind of work. I don't work in CGI. I don't have that experience. I don't have that talent. So I know,
I can't say anything about it, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, those are moments where it kind of where you look at something else on the screen.
Right. Well,
I'll be like, oh look, explosions.
Unfortunately, the only thing to look at on that screen was space. So I don't really know what you want me to look at.
The her mask is cool.
I will say this, and my kids will confirm this. Again, they're listening now
like,
that I'm talking about them. The CGI in the movies that we have now versus what we had 5 years ago. We complain about.
True.
We complain about Admiral Tarkin, and we complain about Princess Leia in Star Wars. We complain about Henry Cavill in DC. We complain about that. And it's like, we were watching something the other day, and the boys just kept looking at me, and they were like, "What is going on? Why are these graphics so horrible?" And I was like, dude, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Kung Pao. So
you know what? That would be a hilarious way to do this movie, because it's based out of the 1990s. All of the special effects is in the 90s.
Yes. See?
That would have been a great throwback.
Nobody would watch it though. They would have been like,
right.
What the hell? Why are they so blocky?
It would have been like that original Avengers.
Yeah.
With the clear shield.
Yeah, right. Shit. Yes, exactly. Who wants to go next on gripes first? Who wants to go next? That's why Jenny's like, I don't have any, so I guess
I'll go ahead.
Gripe about.
I'll go ahead. I know I was talking about it earlier, where like there was stuff that seemed forced, and in her big battle scene when she first realizes her powers, and they picked the wrong fucking song for that. I'm so sorry. For that battle, I was like, I was sitting through the entire thing. I was like, no, this just not work here.
I agree. It was like they were trying to really do a Guardians of the Galaxy with her.
Yeah.
For that aspect.
But that's the thing is, like a lot of the music through the movie, I was like, all right, this is like from my high school year. And I was like, I'm jamming, I'm loving this, and then.
No doubt, I'm just a girl.
That was like my favorite moment.
Gwen Stefani, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
a lot of
those
I
that
loved it.
songs that they could have used.
No,
But,
no, I loved it.
I
I
mean,
loved
yeah,
it.
like, of course. But see, if you really paid attention to the song choice, it was all about women empowerment and
I
strong,
agree.
which is great. But
there are
even
so
with
many
that
better
note,
songs.
right?
There's so many better songs from that era.
Yes, I agree
Thing is,
110%.
I mean, you got to remember. I mean, going back to that time, it's not just Gwen Stefani. I mean, you had a whole movement in the grunge period, which is what they brought Carol Danvers out for. I mean, Jeremy, you are wearing a Nine Inch Nails shirt on, so wearing the flannel, wearing the leathers, and everything like that. So many different artists. I mean, Four Non Blondes, freaking Edie Brickell, you name it. And
Well,
then
you
there's
have
some
to see what you can get to in a certain budget.
Yeah.
Yes, but how easy would have it been to get Violet by Hole for that?
I would actually, as funny as it sounds, I would actually appreciate Alanis Morissette hand in my pocket for that scene. Because the other ones, sticking out of "fuck you," like
Yes.
beat the crap out of
but that would
everybody.
change the ratings a little bit.
Well, they would bleep out the thing, or they would just not air that part of the song.
Right.
Like it's called edited version.
The radio edit?
Yeah, the radio edit.
Yes, because that's how it became popular. Because it wasn't.
Yep.
No, but that's what seemed forced to me. And if I'm gonna let something like that ruin the movie experience for me, I'm just a hypocrite. So no, it did not ruin the movie experience for me. It was a letdown, and so that was a big thing for me. Having that dynamic as the two rookies for Shield, in between Fury and Coulson, starting that relationship was key.
Yeah.
To understanding why Fury trusts him so much later on in future movies and the Agents of Shield show. I mean, it was that you had to have that beginning somewhere, and the way they did that with just one scene.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, cool, got it.
You actually just reminded me by when you said didn't ruin it for me. To add on to what I said about forced feminism through the advertisements, right? I would like to make a comment that even though I understand it because of the time period it was in, you could have removed the scene where the pilot comes up to her and goes, they call it a cockpit, right? And the scene where the motorcyclist comes up and he goes, "Give me a smile, honey, ha ha ha," and then, well, yeah, that was pretty much the two scenes that I think, in all honesty, they could have been not in the movie, and the movie would have flowed just the same. The one scene that I did love, though, in terms of making comments about sexism, I don't remember it for the life of me, but when the Skrull is sitting there talking to them, and her friend makes the comment that's basically about me putting my foot up your ass if you keep calling me such and such, and he's like, "Whoa, wait, what?" And then
I'm
everybody,
gonna put my foot where the sun don't
shine. Yeah, if you keep calling me such and such, I'm gonna put my foot where the sun don't shine. And he goes, I don't understand. And then everyone's like, "She's gonna stick your foot in your ass." I loved that scene. That scene was awesome. But the other two, I felt like, because this whole thing of with Brie Larson coming out and saying, "I want to stand up for all the women out there in the world," and she's made some comments where I'm sitting there going, "Did you really just say that?" Where like she made a comment about how she didn't want white men on her press tour, and I'm like, who the fuck cares what race or gender they are? They're there to produce and support you. You should just be the golden star that you are, because you are fucking awesome in that movie, and just fucking rock it. But there was a lot of controversy during the campaign and the advertisements, and in all honesty, it didn't, like, the movie didn't, like, really barely touch it. Those moments that I mentioned, those to me were the only moments of, like, touching base on feminism and sexism in the 90s. those scenes, to me, if you remove them, the movie would have continued to go. They didn't affect me. I think that's because
I think the only reason they did the one with the guy and the whole cockpit thing is because that was the military thing.
Yeah,
that
and
was
they
the one,
new.
And they had to.
That was the era of Tailhook.
Yeah, they had to do when they would hit all of her different, her childhood and her teenage years. They were hitting all of these milestones in her life.
Yeah.
Of different moments when she was knocked down, and so I think that was the only real. They didn't want something real bad during her military time.
Yeah.
But they just wanted something that just said there was still things during her military.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just a comment, but not really anything.
And I gotta say, on those two scenes specifically, the whole cockpit line and everything like that. Yeah, that goes back to Tailhook, and that was very prevalent in the flight community, because those are some cocky bastards. And bitches. I'll be equal opportunity there.
I am. Well, I mean, they pilots for you. I mean.
So, but that was in line with the 90s atmosphere, the aesthetic and everything like that with the movie. And then, but the whole smile for me, that seemed forced to bring it into today's.
I will agree with you. That one seemed more like it was added after the fact, after somebody told her.
Yeah, because
I
feel like if it was supposed smile for me is a bad.
It was used a lot. It's still used a lot.
Yeah.
So it's still relevant time-wise, but it felt like because it was a big issue with her, personally, it did feel more forced. And even if they had it before.
That's the thing, though. I honestly feel because of the way she responded, it didn't affect her much. Because she was trying really hard to ignore him, and then she just looked down and realized, his motorcycle's really easy to steal. I felt like she just grabbed his motorcycle because it was the first thing that she could grab and took off. Like, that's why I feel like that scene alone, why he did that, it could have been removed, and it wouldn't have hurt the flow at all.
Yeah.
We didn't want her to steal something from somebody without them have done something wrong, I guess.
Then again, I mean, she's a space cop, an intergalactic space cop. She's going to commandeer it to get the mission done.
She wouldn't have known any better.
Because
she obviously did not care about breaking into the Radio Shack or anything else.
No.
Right after she talked to what she firmly believed was a security force for parts of the planet. She's talking to a member of an authority, and then she's going to proceed to do it anyway. Yeah. And then when Nick Fury comes up and goes, have you seen a such and such? And she goes, I think she went that way, and tried to walk off. Come on.
No big deal, right?
Yeah, it's whatever.
She had no idea what he had said to her, other than it was somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it for gripes.
Well, I can throw one out there, but it's kind of a gripe and a giggle.
Okay.
Because well, okay, so the whole feeling of the Air Force scene felt very Navy to me. Very Top Gun, very much that, which makes me laugh because most pilots that I've met, Air Force pilots that I've met, said they wanted to be a pilot because of Top Gun, which is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm like,
I was just waiting for them to take their shirts off and start playing volleyball.
Right? Like when they first walked out of the hangar and they were walking to the aircraft, I was like, that's not Air Force. What are you doing?
Hey, even the cat's name is Goose in the movie.
Right. And I was just like...
Which, by the way, in the comic books, listeners, if you're still paying attention to this, thank you. But the cat's original name is Chewie. Because Carol Danvers loves Star Wars.
Yes.
And I was so disappointed to find out the cat's name is Goose instead. Because I'm sitting here going, you own Star Wars. Just throw Chewie in there. And then someone was like, well, it's too much Star Wars. And I'm like, but is it though? because there's been other movies where we've referenced Star Wars, so shut the fuck up with that. Like, there's no excuse. Name that cat Chewie, damn it. Right? Especially considering, you know, what he does, what that cat actually does.
Yes.
Like, it deserves to be called Chewie.
I do gotta say something kind of funny and kind of with my job. So I went to lunch with my boss, and he was like, "So you've seen the Captain Marvel movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Wasn't it cool that they had Tentacle Kitty in it?"
To quote a great man, why are all these weird tentacle monsters following us?
Following me.
So I was like, I'm done. But that was awesome. I was like, so I have to throw back to my job now. So my job is now connected with this movie. So so much.
Wow.
So much.
Well, we're gonna randomly do this. I'm going to start with the positivity. Things that I enjoyed. I loved the buddy cop dynamic that ended up being of Carol Danvers and Nick Fury. I thought that was awesome. The fact that those two as actors together obviously hit it off both on set and then translating into the screen. That was really well done. The 90s references, I loved those. Those were awesome. I loved the Cadillac and the notion of Coulson coming out going, "Hey, sir, you left me here," and he's looking over going, "But wait a minute,
what?
Right?
Who is this guy?"
Right. I loved Stan Lee's cameo. Oh my god, wow. Now I don't know what a lot of people are hearing. Believe her. I was under the impression that he was saying believe her because, you know, it's her that's the star of the movie, and a lot of people believe that he was saying true believer because he was reading a script from Mallrats.
Yeah.
Which is one of the lines in the movie. Yeah, so that was I see why Kevin Smith took to Instagram and said, and with tears in his eyes, "Damn you, Marvel! How could you make me cry so bad?" Because it's like, geez. Yeah,
the opening Marvel credits.
The Marvel scroll.
Yes.
Oh, I was bawling before the movie even started.
I was like, what? You just have to make us cry? What?
Well, okay, so fun fact about making people cry. Right now, they're selling Marvel comics with a lot of variant covers, and all of the variant covers are Stan Lee related. Whether it's the character themselves, and then rest in peace Stan Lee on the top, and then his birth and death date on the bottom of every cover. And I'm like, stop, or I'm gonna stop buying your comics, you bastards. Right? What the fuck? This isn't okay.
I need my I believe button and not be sad every time I pick up a comic.
Right. One thing I did actually enjoy about the fight scenes, it's a very small scene, and I truly believe it is kind of the pinnacle of her realizing she's invulnerable, is when she's blasted up against the wall, she gets up off her chest and looks up and she goes, She just does that little bit, and then she gets up and continues fighting. To me, that was her realizing, oh, this doesn't hurt anymore. My powers are really going through. This is interesting, and then she just kind of goes crazy. I actually really enjoyed that for her character and out of that moment. And for her character and out of that moment, I actually absolutely loved her final costume, so to speak, when she's wearing the suit, but then she's wearing her Air Force jacket on top.
Yes.
That was so cool. I was like,
that's another I believe moment, though, because when she goes in space with that, it kind of would have burnt up.
See, and that's another thing. A lot of people are trying to make the argument that she was using a force field so that she can breathe in space. And I'm over here like,
no, because she breathes.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking, last time I checked, she doesn't use a force field to breathe in space. She just can exist in space.
Yeah.
So that's wrong. And I really enjoyed them opening up the door to her neighbor, and she's telling him to get lost because he's a Skrull. Like, that was great. And of course, my biggest compliment goes to the actor who played Skrull. Again, like I said about Kingsman, you can't really have a good hero versus villain storyline without having a very good villain, and um, freaking Ben Mendelsohn just nailed it. He was hilarious. He was
Yes.
charismatic. He was a, a great leader to his people. He did a great job in that role for sure. I really enjoyed him transforming, looking behind. And they're like, "Yes, sir." And he looks at this one guy. He goes, "Excuse me, no, no, no. You have to change. Only one of us can be this."
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was a cute little giving them personality before we know that they have
Yeah.
personality.
Exactly.
Right.
I thought that was a very cute little nod to who they were.
Yeah. Cosplay Jemmy, you're up next. Your positive notes.
Oh no,
You can't say the whole movie.
the whole movie. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, we're already in an hour, so if you just want to keep it short and say the whole movie, that works for me. Just kidding.
Hey. No,
You right?
I loved everything in Louisiana.
Okay.
Like everything. Getting to know her battle buddy and her daughter. Her daughter was spot on. I really want her to be somebody.
The talk is that she's going to be one of the quote Marvel kind of characters. It's just an interesting timeline considering in the comic books that young girl was first before Carol Danvers.
Yes.
But still, nonetheless, that character exists, and we could very well.
It does. It definitely does. I liked how Marvel was a woman, so it kind of gets that whole shock and awe, where you're like, wait, what? And then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. My friend jokefully said that because due to the feminism that was happening around the movie, they thought I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to do that just to be safe with themselves, because the last thing they need is to hear that Carol Danvers gets her powers from a man. I'm like, you're not wrong, but I don't think that's why they did it.
I don't know. If you go back in the comics, some of these same quotes that she used in the movie are the same quotes that she used in the comics. She's not any more feminist. She always was.
Yeah.
But she's always been this.
Yeah.
But they also changed the character from Marvel being a warrior to a scientist. Go ahead.
Well, but that's because of the whole changing of all of the
yeah, the whole. But that's the thing that's one of the things that I enjoyed about it is it worked.
It worked, and I really liked it. I liked how all of it came together. I liked how their relationship with each other. The one thing that got to me the most was the moment that someone looked at her and told her, well, I guess it was pretty much the whole movie, but told her that she would never get anywhere as long as she had emotions, basically.
Yeah.
And I was legit told that. I had already signed into the military. I was working at Ruby Tuesday at the time, and one of my tables had upset me, and I had gone in the back and I was crying. And one of my coworkers was in the National Guard, walks up to me and says, "You are never going to make it in the military if you cannot get your emotions in check." And so when that moment came on the screen, I was like, like chills went down my body, and I was like, oh my God, it's not just me. And
this is why you don't listen to the National Guard.
I mean, I was told that a few times in the military, because I did kind of a couple times get a little emotional. But as she said, emotions make a person. They're part of who we are, and we kind of need them. That's what makes us human.
In my active duty time, I had something similar, except it was more of a, look, you can't get fucking crazy as shit angry at this thing and then expect to survive in combat. Because if you lose your shit out there, you're going to get someone killed. And I'm like, fuck you. And they're like, but then they continued it and they said, look, if you get angry, channel that anger at the enemy, not at us. Okay, just do the training that we did. When you squeeze that trigger for 3 seconds, die motherfucker die, die motherfucker die, die motherfucker die. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this now. So I totally get that. And then at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you're in a combat zone and your emotions get the better of you, people could die. So you got to learn to not keep them in check, but channel them.
And that's what she was learning to do.
Yeah.
Channel her emotions into her powers instead of hiding her emotions to hold back her powers.
Yep.
And I think that whole thing, I mean, I struggle a lot with emotions. And so that whole thing was just everything to me. And I think that was the biggest issue. And so I loved it. I don't know. Maybe I'm...
No, you're fine. Single dad, what did you love?
I already said, the opening Marvel crawl, going into it, that set up the movie for me for success right there. Paying homage to Stan in that way. That was the beginning of it for me. As for loving the movie, the dynamic between Carol and Marvel, when she's the Supreme Intelligence and trying to get information out of her, it's a completely different dynamic from when she actually remembers what happened to her, and she has those memories of Marvel, and she realizes what's actually going on, because that, like Genevieve said, her emotions and everything like that, she learns to tap into them, like she's tapping into her memories, she's tapping into her emotions, and that's what makes her a complete individual. If she didn't have those memories, if she didn't have those emotions, she would not be the hero that she is. She's always been a fighter, and you see that in the beginning. You see the snippets of it in her memories where she's being told that she's never going to be good enough, she's never going to be fast enough, strong enough, or anything like that. And then she turns around, and then you see the cutscenes later on in the movie where those things are happening to her. What does she do? She gets back up and she says, you know what, F you, I'm doing this.
I mean, it's Disney movie, so she didn't actually say that, but yeah.
Well, if they're watching this part, they've already seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, those I really enjoyed. Another really great little Easter egg was when she and the daughter are picking her colors.
Yes.
Okay, the neon suit, I love it. I've already seen a cosplay of it.
Oh,
somebody already has a neon suit with LEDs and everything like that. Same color scheme, same color pattern, and I'm like, well, I want to see this at a con.
Yes.
But the fact that one of the colors that she went through was the original green and white Marvel uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was just like, yes.
Yep.
Great Easter egg right there, yeah.
So I mean, it was a good nod back to the comics. They're still remaining true to the source material. Yeah. They keep the spirit of it. They may not go word for word, but they keep the spirit of it, and that's what matters.
Definitely.
Sorry. No.
So,
but yeah.
Overall, there's gripes like there is gripes for every movie, but at the end of the day, I can say without a doubt this cast enjoyed the movie.
Absolutely.
Entertained.
Very entertained.
Thoroughly entertained.
Now we just gotta wait for Endgame. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, listeners, thanks for listening in to this nearly hour and a half long episode. It's been chock full of great material.
See what happens when you don't have Marine here? Intelligent discussion.
Oh! Burn.
Okay, she's gonna kill me at WonderCon for that, but whatever.
Whatever. Anyway, we are now signing off. This is Tom Cruise, thanking you all for listening. With me tonight, as always, Cosplay Jenemy.
Yes. Higher, further, faster.
And Tom. And,
phrasing.
And Single Dad, of course.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Of course. Hopefully, we'll have the full cast next week, and it's gonna rock your fucking socks off. This is Geek Boots signing off.
Deuces.
I'm just gonna do it for Jake. Toodles.
Toodles.